Hey, it's Time Out with Idara. Your quick escape for stories, laughter, and a little inspiration. Take a break, refresh your mind, and let's make every moment count. Join me for a journey of discovery. Share stories, find laughter, and ignite your inspiration. Let's explore the beauty of life together.
We are going to have that very in-depth conversation about the environment and how youths can also change their lives, of course, using tools around them to better their lives. So this morning I have Ayodele Philip Afolabi. He's actually the powerhouse behind African Lending Hands Foundation, and he's doing big things and shaking serious tables. He's impacting lives because he's doing so much, and he's using environmental advocacy mostly. I'm very sure about that. Now, I already see that you're wearing the African Lending Hands Foundation t-shirt, so you came prepared this morning. So let's start from that perspective. Yes, looking at you, what actually inspired the African Lending Hands Foundation from your perspective as the founder?
Actually, in Africa, it's part of our job to do what we call environmental work. It's part of our lifestyle to make sure that we do to make sure the environment is a good place. It's our culture, for example, for the women to sweep the market square, the men clear the road that leads to the stream or the road that leads to the palace or things like that. It has been part of our culture in Africa. But unfortunately, over time, because of the European influences, we see ourselves as big people. Nobody's ready to do something for the environment. Everybody's now big, and that is causing a lot of problems in our environment. So we have a lot of cluttered gutters, we have a very dirty environment that makes things. So we look at it from our angle that what can we do to make the environment a better place? So that what necessitates African Lending Hand Foundation. The word lending hand is meaning putting a hand, helping. So as Africans, how can we help the environment to be a better place? So it's a culture that is part of us, only that is eroding, and we're trying to see how we can bring this back, especially through the people that we work with.
I wanted to ask why the environment of all things, but I think you have encapsulated that in your question. So let's look at environmental advocacy. Now, most times when you talk about eco work and people hear about, okay, you're an environmental advocate, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, so maybe it's about planting trees, it's about hogging trees. For you, what is the real impact of environmental advocacy?
Actually, environmental advocacy has to do with everything that encompasses the environment. For example, the example I usually give to the people I meet, if we have 5 monkeys around here, they will eat, they will defecate, and their defecation will become manure to the environment. But it's the human that will take the noodles, that will take the minerals, and before you know, the packaging of these things become nuisance to the environment. For example, if I drink a bottle of water here now, right after drinking it and I drop the bottle will not decay for the next 450 years. So imagine how many bottled water have been drunk in Lagos today, this morning. Imagine how many have been used in Nigeria. Now, if the ones we use in Nigeria is to spend 400 years in the environment, imagine what happens to the millions of bottles we use every day. This is just one example. Our expired ATM cards that we just dispatch, they have chemicals that spoil the environment. So these are things that we need to look at. What can we do to make sure that this thing does not spoil the environment? We have a lot of animals going to extinction. We have a lot of plants going to extinction. And let me give you an example. The national plant of Nigeria, the one on our coat of arms, the spectabilis on the... When Nigeria got independent in 1960, that is one of the plants that was so popular in Nigeria. And that is why we use it as a symbol on our national coat of arms. But today, where can we find it?
That's gone into extinction.
How many children of 2025 can go on the street and say, this is the plant? So, if that is just one example, imagine how many animals are no longer in extinction. You go to somewhere in Lagos, you hear Igbo. That means a place where there is elephant. No, but go there now. You can't even find the bones. So these are things that shows that we need to work to preserve the environment. If not, most of the things we see as common thing today, the next 30 years, the next 100 years, they will only be seen in museums. So we need to see what we can do as individuals, as persons, to make sure that the environment is preserved for ourselves and for future generations.
Now, Ayodele, you have been in the business of helping young people, of course, to create change using the environment. Now, for a young person listening this morning and they are saying to themselves, how? So how do you think young people can actually use the environment to spark change in their communities?
Thank you for using that word community, because that is where it starts from. So, like I said before, it's part of our culture in Africa to help our own community. So, if I live in Ikeja and I want to help my community, can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on a particular street wake up on a Saturday morning and clean the gutters of the streets? It's possible. So imagine that we have 5 people in Ikeja cleaning the Ikeja, and that 5 in Alimosho cleaning Alimosho, and that 5 in Ojo working, and that 5 in Kodu working, and that 5 in Ichosa working. What happened to Lagos? Lagos become a better place. So imagine having the duplication of that effort in 36 states of the Federation. Imagine having the duplication of that effort in the 52 countries of Africa. Africans have learned and handled the environment. So it is not a rocket science to help the environment. They are just simple things that we can do. For example, at African Learning Foundation, we have currently in 2025, we are running a project where we go to schools to educate children in secondary schools and primary schools about how to take care of the environment. So imagine that every school have a community day per term on the street, especially in Lagos, where almost every street have a school. So if every school have a community day and they go on the streets to clean the street just 2 hours per term, imagine what will happen to the streets. So it's possible.
All right, it's time out with Idara this fine Saturday morning. And yes, we are having that conversation, changing lives using the environment, especially for young people. And I have, of course, the founder of African Lending Hand Foundation, Ayodele Philip Afolabi, with me this morning. And of course, he has been opening our eyes to how we can really, in our communities, take advantage of environmental advocacy and spark that change, be that change that we want to see. Yes, let me come back to you. I know that you've been on this journey for quite some time. Now, let's talk about 1 or 2 of your unforgettable moments that made you say to yourself, yes, this is why I do what I do.
Wow. Actually, there are a lot of moments that make the journey a very happy one. It cannot be easy financially. You know, in Nigeria, when you bust out to do something meaningful, you find it difficult to get finance because people don't understand your vision and what you want to do. But we've had situations where we're able to have something very, very meaningful. 2 years ago, when we organized the Global Recycling Day, yes, so it was our first time of putting up a program that require us to invite people to attend. And by the time we had a program, we were hosted by a sister organization in Satellite Town. And seeing people come around to be part of what we do, individuals we don't know before from anywhere, leave whatever they have to do on a Thursday morning to join us for the Global Recycling Day was an eye-opener that, so it's possible. So that means people are actually seeing what we are doing and they want to be part of it. And at that point, we go a different dimension. And so at that time, we have been coming up with different projects, with different programs, partnering with different organizations to make sure that we do something meaningful.
Now, I know that there have been challenges, especially in Nigeria and our climate. Of course, there's no area people won't say, okay, I've had one challenge or the other. So let's talk about your challenges that you faced doing this work right here in Nigeria. And of course, how do you push through?
One of the major challenges has been volunteers. Getting people to work with you on what you do. You know, in many cases in Nigeria, you are the owner of your vision. So when you talk to people, let's work together, the first thing they ask you is how much am I getting from it? So when you now tell them that it's a volunteer work, don't worry, we can do something together for the sake of the environment, by helping people. By the time they think of the cost of their transportation, what they're going to leave behind, how they're going to feed themselves and come for a work that is your own, become a challenge. So one of the major challenges has been getting individuals who are like-minded, who are willing to work. You know, we walk into a school and tell them that, or we offer this free of charge. Sometimes we just want to come to your school to train your children about the environment, and in their mind they're thinking, oh, that means you're a millionaire, you have 1 million somewhere, and the person is asking you, so if you are coming to us, what are you giving to us? Whereas you are not being paid for it. So we are just creating an advocacy program. So challenge has been that people coming along to work with us, giving us the right permission, government agencies trying to work with them and getting permissions to do some things. You find out that the person on the table is looking at. So I hope you are giving us something. Whereas what you are actually doing is actually their own projects. Let me give you an example. I hope people who understand what I'm saying will be listening to us. Working with government officials has been a very major, because sometimes you need their permission. Probably you are doing a cleanup and you need somebody to clean. You cannot just clean the street and drop it there. So you need a government agency to pick up and somebody is asking you, okay, no problem, we'll send a truck to carry it for you, but give us 500,000. So if you have 500,000, there are so many major things you have. So there have been a lot of issues about getting permission, getting people to work with you, understanding what you want to do, and trying to work along with you to achieve that aim. Many people hear NGO, they believe they are multi-millionaires, they have money. On our own end, we're just starting off. We don't have partners yet, we don't have sponsors yet, but we believe that with what we are doing and the way we run, in a matter of time, we're able to get people to work with us and make the job easier.
Okay, so it's time out with Idara, and this morning we're looking at how we can spark change, using the environment, how you can be a change catalyst, a change advocate in your community using the environment. And of course, this is for young people, youths, people who want to see themselves doing something different. And we're asking that you call this morning. You can ask Ayodele any question at all concerning the environment and how far its advocacy work is going and it's gone. Okay, Ayodele, if the environment were to have a voice, now what do you think the environment will be screaming to us as Nigerians? What do you think it will say to us if it were to have a voice?
The easiest way is to say, I am dying. Because like I mentioned before, one of the major challenges we have about Nigeria, environment in Nigeria, is neglect. We have not been able to have a structure that made the environment to work. For example, the waste collection, recycling, waste sorting that we have in Nigeria is not a good system. We don't have a system to well. So we need proper orientation, and that's why the African Learning and Foundation this year we are advocating for the betterment of the environment through people. What made the environment is not the trees. So it's not enough to plant trees. Even if you don't plant trees, tree will grow. So it's not about planting trees. Once you allow the environment to strive on its own, plants grow. That plant, leave it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, it become a tree. So we don't even actually need to plant trees. We need to clean up the environment. When the environment is clean, naturally, trees, adaptive trees to that particular environment will grow. This is a house. If you leave this house for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years without anybody, plants will grow here. So immediately plants are growing, other animals, snakes, rats will start coming in. The ecosystem will grow back. So if we work well for the environment, if we're able to know that the environment is a place that needs its own voice, then the environment will thrive.
Very, 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 very interesting there. But of course, you know that time is not our friend on radio when we are having conversations like this.
Yes.
So we are rounding off. But before I let you go, I'd like to ask, now a young person is listening to us this morning and they are saying to themselves, I want to be part of environmental advocacy. I want to change things, but I don't know where to start. What would you say to them?
Well, the easiest way to start is to volunteer with organizations that is doing something with the environment, like African Learning and Foundation. And out there in Nigeria, we have a lot of NGOs that are working with the environment. So any of them that is around your locality, volunteer with them. You learn 1 or 2 things about what the environment is. You develop an interest. You see how the system works. And before you know it, you have an orientation. And with that orientation, then you can now decide what to do and how to go about it. So at African Learning and Foundation, we welcome volunteers. So we have an email, we have a phone number that you can reach out to if you would like to volunteer with us at African Indian Foundation.
Really interesting. Okay, so this morning I have my guest has been Ayodele Philip Afolabi. He is really an environmental advocate, and he has been doing so much with young people, going to schools, going to communities, cleaning up, also teaching young people how to make the environment safe for all of us. And if you're a young person, you should really think in this direction, because of course, if you take care of the environment will definitely take care of you. I want to say a big thank you to you, Ayodele, for coming on the show. Also to you, my listener, who has you've given your time to listen to us this morning. Thank you so much. And of course, my producer, Nkechi Makoli, and to everyone who's been part of this production. I am Idara-MEDIA. I'll be here again next week, God willing, with another interesting guest, looking at what, of course, how we can impact society, how we can change the narrative, how we can make the world a better place, even in our little corner. So I'm urging you to join us then and be a part of our show. For now, I'm saying thank you so much and have yourself a very wonderful Saturday.